This is the Bigger Pockets Podcast, show 685.
The way that I look at Envelo and what we're trying to design is we're not just trying to create a product, a software product. We're combining software, education, and community, because I really feel like all of those pieces are really important. Now, on the software side, we are a true end-to-end solution. So for a sales journey. So you can pull lists, you can manage prospects, you can manage leads, you can manage deals, you can market out to potential home sellers.
What's going on, everyone? This is David Green, your host of the Bigger Pockets Real Estate Podcast, here today with my co-host Roberto Abasolo, and we've got an amazing episode for you. Today, Rob and I are interviewing Justin Silverio, the creator of Envelo, a software that helps you find off-market properties and reach out to the owners to get stuff locked up at well below market rates through the targeting of motivated sellers. Justin explains the system that he created, how it can help you as an investor, and how to use it, which is pretty freaking cool. Rob, what were some of your favorite parts of today's show?
Well, first of all, I'm hurt that you didn't notice that I was wearing the t-shirt that accompanies my favorite book in the world, Burr, by prolific author David Green. But secondly, this show is awesome. I think it's a really cool platform for literally any type of investor out there. I think it applies to wholesalers, flippers, short-term rental people. Really, if you're just looking to acquire assets and if you want to get them under market, seems to be a very, very comprehensive tool that can help you do that.
Absolutely. And if you're watching on YouTube, Rob and I are both wearing our custom-made Bigger Pockets t-shirts. His says Burr Recycle with the recycling emblem, and mine says, Will you be my mentor? So if you're not following us on YouTube, consider checking that out. You get to see all the facial expressions, the nuances, and Rob's coif, which has its own personality, and it shows up differently on every episode. It's only a matter of time before that coif gets its own Instagram. So until then, check it out on YouTube. Before we bring in Justin, today's quick tip is listen all the way to the end of the show. Because if you want to ramp up your investing success, Bigger Pockets can help you do that. We are going to give you a discount code for a Pro membership, as well as explain all the new things that make Pro better that we at Bigger Pockets have put into place for you. And I can promise you will be impressed when you hear about this. So listen all the way to the end and get that discount code if you are not a Pro member. Rob, any last words before we bring in Justin?
Yes, I have a quick tip number 2, and that's if you want to buy these awesome t-shirts, you can order them. They're linked on YouTube in the description of this video. So be sure to do that. Which one you'll get, that will be up to you, but they're both great shirts. Very comfortable. Very soft cotton on my skin, Dave.
That must be why you were in such a good mood today. Makes sense. If you want to be in a good mood like Rob, get one of these t-shirts. All right, let's bring in Justin. Justin, welcome back to the Bigger Pockets Podcast. How many times is this now? How many times have you been on?
This is 3. Very exciting. Each one of them is all very exciting to be on.
Yeah, and they go back pretty far. So you were on episodes 58 and 194. You must have just been a puppy back then, episode 58. Like, what was going on in your life when you did your first Bigger Pockets interview, and what's going on now?
It's funny. At the time, I didn't think I was a pup, but now looking back, yes, absolutely. Back then, on the first one that I was still building out my investment business and flipping homes and trying to get into the routine and just learning through the process of buying properties, the right finishes to do, the renovation, selling. So still really learning and growing the business.
Okay. And now, I don't know that we've ever dug super deep into your story. I'm curious, though, what was going on in your life that made you say, I'm going to do this crazy, beautiful, frustrating, no idea where it's going to take me journey of real estate investing, and then what made you stick to it?
Yeah. So growing up, I was always around entrepreneurs. My father, my brother, my uncles. I always knew I wanted to do something on my own, but I didn't know what that was. And it was when I was working at my accounting job in a private equity venture capital shop that I got a lot of exposure to larger companies, and I always wanted to be on the deal side, but I just didn't know what it was. And then I came across, it might have been HGTV flipping properties, and looking at it and saying, you know what, this is actually really interesting. Growing up, my father was in construction, so I always thought construction was amazing. There was an art to it, that he was building these properties from raw materials, and I love that, but I didn't have exposure to it. Knew how to build, but I knew numbers really well. So I said, you know what? This kind of combines both aspects of what I enjoyed, numbers and learning more about construction. So I asked my father, I said, hey, you want to team up and start buying properties, renovating them, and then selling them? And he agreed. And he was always very supportive in the fact of, hey, let's try something out that you enjoy. And if you love it, take over and keep running. So that's really was my first step into entrepreneurship. And I absolutely loved it. Like I just fell in love with real estate, just the ways that you could structure deals, how you can help sellers in really challenging situations. That aspect I only learned when I started to buy properties of how much I can help a person's life out by doing this. And that is, I think, what really got me invested even more and excited about the industry. And then it just kind of spiraled from there.
So now, since actually developing your real estate portfolio, would you say, like, what kind of led you to actually, because you started a couple companies, right? So you were developing your real estate side of things. That's probably crazy. And then you're like, hey, you know what? I should make my life a little crazier. I want to start a company. Like, what led to that decision?
So that's just how I am. And it's funny. My wife always says that. She's like, for as long as I've known you, you've always had two things going on. You've been working or you've been studying for the CPA. You're working and then starting real estate business. And then when you left your full-time job, now you opened another business. And for me, it's more, I love business and working and identifying, challenges and trying to solve them. So as I was going through my real estate investment journey and purchasing properties, and the tactical way that I would always market is I would send direct mail. And that method of marketing worked really well for me. And I really understood the strategy behind it, how to stand out from your competition, and really looking at all the numbers. And I did it in a way that was very unique to anything else that was on the market or offered to real estate investors. So that's when I said, you know what? I see a huge void in the market of how to market properly to home sellers and help other investors become more successful. So that's when I started my other business, my marketing business, Open Letter Marketing. And really it was just solving an issue or a big void in the market that led me kind of to that business. And now ultimately to Envelo on the technology side, solving another huge need in the industry.
So yeah, you build this company because Open Letter Marketing is rather successful. One would most of the time think, I'm good. I did it. I've built a great company and a great real estate portfolio. But you did it again. So from an entrepreneurial standpoint, when you're starting companies, do you feel like it's you want to fulfill a need for like a large group of people, or is it just the internal desire to also do more? Like what actually drives the idea of starting, completely fresh when you're already pretty established?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. For me, it's, once I have a company up and running and it reaches the level of, I guess, quote unquote, success, or the company is systematized and you have people running the business, for me, I can never really sit back. I always want to do more or get into something, different or add on to that. And that also kind of combines with if there's a huge void in the market, and if I've had a challenge going through that, and I see that other people have that same challenge, I want to create a solution. And I will not stop until I find that solution. And if I can help other investors or other people in the industry out by solving that problem, then that's kind of what I'm looking to do. And that's where I find the most success is when I can see that people are becoming successful because of either using our product or service. That makes me so happy to be able to offer that and to share those successes with other clients and customers.
I love that. I love that your motivation is to help other people win, and that you understand business in America is accomplished by creating something that helps other people do better in life. It's not accomplished by taking something away. It's the opposite of the predatory education person that says, pay me $100,000, I'll teach you how to flip a house. You're like, hey, one of the hardest parts of flipping a house is finding a deal. You can find better deals if you go off market. Here's a system that you can use to go there. And I wish we had more people in the space that took that approach. I'm curious before we move on to more about your system, just about the motivations itself. Do you find yourself frustrated with elements of our business, and that frustration is what motivates you to create the solution to the problem? Or is it a different motivation that's driving you?
No, I think it comes from the frustration within our industry. Our industry has skyrocketed since I started investing. There are so many more people, and technology has grown, and things have shifted. But I would still say that technology, while it's grown, it still hasn't had a huge effect on us, and people haven't leveraged it to the point that they should really be able to utilize. And for no other fact that there's just not a lot of companies coming into this industry and really trying to take that on. But seeing like from the front line with a lot of our customers at Open Letter, just the frustrations that they go through in their day-to-day lives and their business. And even same with me. And I can easily relate with them. And we can talk about the nitty-gritty of like how much time it takes to do such a simple task and why that is. Like that shouldn't even be around in 2022. And making sure really if all these other people have these issues, it's keeping them back from really truly getting to success where they want to be. So just trying to get through those struggles and give them a little bit more of a direct line to success rather than going up and down and trying to figure out how things are working. So for me, it's always, again, it goes back to education. I can provide anybody the same tool, but everybody's going to use it differently. It's providing them with the education and the best practices of what I've learned through my journey, and even a lot of other investors through their journeys that we connect with our customers. I always want to provide that education and the best practices to get people to their goal faster.
Can you give me an example of a problem you encountered, a frustration specific to the business that you then said, okay, I'm going to figure out how to solve this and then make it part of one of my companies?
Yeah. I would say the first one with Open Letter Marketing is direct mail. Most everyone was utilizing like yellow letters. That was the biggest name. That's what everybody used when they started. So I said, all right, well, everybody's using that product. That's awesome because I'm going to use something completely different. And I'm going to stand out from everybody else. And I'm going to understand not only the strategy or not only what to send people, but the strategy behind it. How we can send specific pieces and different messaging to get people to call us back. And I'm going to do it in a way and test and try and track and adjust until I have I feel like I have a really solid strategy down. And only at that point, when I fully understood that I did and tested it against other competitors and what other people were using, that's only when I started to form Open Letter Marketing. And really, it transpired into the same thing with Envelo. Hearing a lot of people talk about how challenging it is to manage their databases, to make sure that they remove, people that sold their homes out of their database so they're not marketing to them, or people that say, take me off your list, or when they refresh your list, how do you update all your records in your databases? And if they have multiple databases that they're managing, how do you get these all in sync? Just hearing that over and over and over again, I was like, there has to be a better way. And, not seeing that solution out there, I said, I'm going to make sure that I solve that, not only for myself, but just for the real estate investor community.
That's awesome, man. I have been workshopping, and I know you probably don't want to give too many tips to a competitor, but I've been workshopping like a marketing company where I send letters out, but they're all printed on headshots of Dave. But I'm still kind of wireframing what that could look like. Dave won't sign over the rights to his headshots to me yet. But moving on here. So we've kind of established you were kind of a pup getting started out. And now you're a bit of a Rottweiler here in the service industry. And then now you started Envelo. You started kind of talking about some of those frustrations that led to why you started that company. But can you just give us like an overview of what it is? And then from there, I kind of want to dive in a little bit more behind some of those frustrations that you're solving with your service.
Yeah, sure. So the way that I look at Envelo and what we're trying to design is we're not just trying to create a software product. We're combining software, education, and community, because I really feel like all of those pieces are really important. Now, on the software side, we are a true end-to-end solution. So for a sales journey. So you can pull lists, you can manage prospects, you can manage leads, you can manage deals, you can market out to potential home sellers. So you can do all that within the database. Now, the unique thing that we do is we offer that complete package under one umbrella, which gives you so much more than just kind of the one-off those individual components. From there, you have one database to manage. Everything's in sync. You can understand analytics and KPIs from beginning to end. So I'll give you an example. Most investors that market direct to seller, they usually have different phone numbers for each list that they market to. And they do that because they want to understand when somebody calls me on this phone number, they're calling they're an absentee owner, or they're driving for dollars. They're on my driving for dollars list. With our system, because it's all in one, you don't need those additional phone numbers, because from when you started to pull the list all the way to when you have a deal, that list is always attached to it. So now you don't need to purchase different phone numbers just to identify the list that they're on. It's done for you all in the system. And right now, because most investors have to manage, their whole sales journey through multiple databases, they don't talk to each other and they're not in sync. So they still need those kind of little nuanced issues and complexities in their system. So that's kind of what we've been working on to solve.
Yeah, I think that this would really hit home for me, because I remember getting started out, there really was no level of organization, not even a little bit, right? So most new investors are very frantic, frenetic, like they're just trying to figure it out. They've got like a notepad. I probably have notepads on my desk here with information. So purely from an organizational standpoint, I could see how this could be a game changer for having an actual system. So what would you say, how could a newbie getting into real estate, like what would probably be like the game changer here for them? Is it just giving them a system and a CRM to actually get started on, or how would this really be a game changer for someone starting today?
Yeah, so going back to how we developed the system, we always wanted to help walk the user through best practices. So whether that's from pulling a list or creating a prospects database, we are guiding them through the process. And we do that on the technology side with giving them, easy preset lists that they can click one button, enter in their geography, and then we can have they can see a list of all those records that meet that criteria. And these lists that we're providing, they're not just, the basic lists that you can pull anywhere else. They're done over the years. They're implemented from experts, analyzing and making sure that we have the right criteria for them, very unique lists that other people aren't using. So we do all that so the user can the goal is for them to navigate the platform and think, oh my God, I am the smartest person. I know exactly what I'm doing. But really, it's the intelligence and pushing people through that process. But also it's from the education standpoint. So we have created many, many videos that teach people from step one how to all the way through putting a deal together. So we talk about all the things like, where should your farm area be? What should you look at? What are the stats that you should look at to identify if it's the right area? How do you pull lists? Why is it important to pull lists? How do you market to sellers? How do you talk to them? How do you put a deal together? So we walk through everything and share all of the tips and best practices so they can really go step by step and utilize the education with the platform. So it's a much easier and straightforward process.
All right, I have two questions that I'm just chomping at the bit to ask you. The first, because I just don't want to forget, is going to be, how do I want to phrase this? I've noticed anytime there's a system, there's two components to a system, and we tend to only focus on the first one, which is the actual steps that are needed. So oftentimes when someone is given a system or taught a way to do things, it's very similar to a checklist. Like, here you go, here's your system, just go do this. But the second part of the system is even more important, and it's the skill in the execution. Okay, like if it was so simple that it was just a bunch of checklists, a monkey could do it, and then everyone would be successful. But there's actually a skill that is necessary to be able to accomplish whatever said system would be. So the first question that I'm going to want to ask is, what skills do you find are necessary to make a system like this work? Because you got to have some ability to talk to people. You got to have some creativeness in your brain to be able to put these things together. And the second question, which is what I'm really getting at, is for someone like me, a little bit more established of an investor, I'm probably not going to send out letters and talk to every incoming call myself, right? I'm going to want to leverage this out to other people. Is there a way that this could be implemented, and what would be the pieces that I would need if I wanted to add this to my ecosystem for investing? So we'll start with what skills are needed, and then could this be leveraged?
And on skills that you're needed, you're talking from a user standpoint, from an investor standpoint? Or?
Yeah, if somebody says, hey, I want to take Justin's system and I want to go put it into place and execute it, what are the skills they need to know walking in that they have to be able to perform?
So with our education, we really look at this system as anywhere from a new investor to an intermediate to experienced investor. So we try to identify and outline all of the different pieces. And our plans are even outlined that way. So for our free plan, that is mainly used for beginners. And we give them a path that's going to be much easier and kind of more of the starter plan where there's presets. They don't really have to do much kind of thinking through the process, like what list, what marketing to be able to pull. It's kind of done for them. So with that, I would say that investor has to understand the process of a real estate deal, right? How to make offers, all of that, those tactical skills. We do provide that education along the way. But really, if somebody's new coming into this and they have never done any direct-to-seller marketing or used Excel spreadsheets or anything like that, from a fundamental understanding standpoint, they have to understand how technology works and how a CRM works. And we try to do that through the onboarding process of teaching them the different aspects. But we try to guide them through that process of step by step. But I think from a technology standpoint, that's probably the biggest thing that they have to learn or understand. From a real estate investor perspective, they should understand the whole acquisition side, right? So they should understand how to put a deal together and structure. And really the path that we have them go through in the system is very much in line in a seamless process.
That's really cool.
So again, we have our plans offer, you can have teams in place. So for instance, as you're going through, and if you have somebody that just does your marketing or just works on pulling lists, or you have an acquisitions manager, you can actually create a team and assign different records to different team members. So they can make sure that they're going after the right properties that you want them, that they're assigned to. You can have notes back and forth to your team members. So you have different pipelines. So the system is really broken down into three main kind of databases: prospects, leads, and deals, right? Prospects are the people that you have a property that you want to reach out to. Leads are people that raise their hand and say, hey, I'm interested. I might be interested in selling. And deals are the one you purchase, but now you need to do something to make money. So when I break it down like that, the prospects and the marketing are really, your marketing team. Your marketing team, they would be pulling the list. They would be managing your prospects database. They'd be marketing to those prospects. And then your acquisitions team would be only looking at your leads pipeline. Okay. And the leads pipeline can be broken out so people can be assigned different records. You can make sure that they're communicating with those prospects. And if they're not, you can get updated when kind of the record or the lead has gone stale. So you can send follow-up marketing to them. And then the deals, you can have a dispositions manager. So if you have a dispositions person and you just purchased a property and now maybe you want to assign it or you need to renovate it, you can still bring that property through the deals pipeline and have your dispositions manager manage that aspect of the system. So we broke it down into three main pieces of the system because that's ultimately how much larger investment companies are built out. You have your marketing and team, and you have your acquisitions people and dispositions people.
Okay, so let me see if I'm understanding this, because it seems like a relatively when you lay it out, it seems very straightforward in the way that in a good way. So with the first bucket, you're saying that that's like your marketing and outreach. are the actual tools in there? You're saying you're pulling lists, and when you say pulling lists, you mean like lists of people that like properties, everything of people that you want to reach out to?
Yes. Yeah. So motivated sellers.
Okay.
So yeah. And we have and the features. So we broke it out into those 3 sections because there's features and functionality that are going to vary based on where your property is in that pipeline, right? So for prospects, we have the ability we have a list builder aspect. So you can pull lists and bring them into your prospects database. And when you have prospects, before you start to go market, the skill behind that and what we train people and show them in the platform is to really understand their prospects before they even spend any marketing dollars. And we see this from investors that are even doing tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars in marketing a month. Okay, we see this all the time with open letter marketing, that they're still not really understanding their prospects before they go to market. And what that creates is they spend a lot more money than they need to get a conversion on their marketing dollars. And just to give you an example, we're able to identify in your prospects database which records are high, medium, and low quality, right? Who's more motivated to sell? And we can do that through sifting and sorting and understanding, list stacking, all those kind of segmentation kind of filters. But the importance behind that is because if you have a marketing budget and now you spend 70% of your budget toward your high quality records, 10% to your low quality, 20% to your medium quality, you still have the same marketing budget, but you're allocating your funds much more appropriately, and you're going to actually increase your ROI by doing that. So that's just like one aspect of the prospects database that we really hone in on, because we don't want to just offer a prospects database. We want to show you how to maximize your marketing dollars. So helping people through that and getting them to understand that, there's a lot of education in it. But that's the big piece. We want to educate people. We don't want to just give them the tool and say, here you go, good luck. We want to help guide them through that.
Okay, so and by the way, for everyone at home, we're actually going to do a product demo where we show you the tactical aspect of the platform. So stay tuned for that, because it'll help visualize what we're talking about. But Justin, when you're talking about the list, I want to make sure that I'm clear, because you're saying a lot of the times people are just burning cash because they've got, let's say, a 30,000 person list, and so they're marketing to 30,000 people, when in reality, if they just really shaved down that list to people that actually might convert, they could spend way less money just focusing on a much smaller set of people.
That's correct. Yes. So, and the way we do that too is by pulling different lists in our list builder. So we have the ability, really, we have hundreds of different filters, but we narrow it in and offer 7 different lists that people can just basically click one of the presets, enter in their geography, and pull that list so that it comes into your prospects database. And if they pull all those 7 different lists and bring them in, one of the tactics that we use is saying, hey, which properties are on 2 or 3 or more lists? And by doing that, we can identify which records are on multiple lists because they're potentially more motivated because maybe they're an absentee owner, their property is vacant, and they have a lot of equity in their house.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know, because you mentioned that you can find the motivated sellers. Is it simply because they sort of check the box on a lot of things that might be criteria for what's considered a motivated seller? So I'd even imagine something like, and maybe this is a feature, maybe it's not, but someone who's delinquent on taxes, for example, is that like a filter that would tend to show someone who's a bit more motivated or would be a more motivated buyer?
Yes, absolutely. So as you pull in lists into the database, you can specify the quality of the list that you're importing. Because for like tax delinquent, vacant properties, driving for dollars, to me, those would all be high quality lists because they're generally more challenging to pull. So it thereby would make it a little bit of a better list, as well as it's more situational, right? If somebody has tax liens on their house, then they have a more desire or more of a need to sell. Somebody that just has equity in their house, I don't see that as a high quality. That's more of a lower quality list. But then if you start to stack all these lists together and identify which properties are on one of these high quality lists and multiple other lists, and then you can segment all those records into a high quality or your high quality records list, and then you can start creating a marketing campaign specifically for those people.
That is a principle that I find really glad to hear that you're incorporating that. It works in many ways, in many forms of business. So in general, what you're looking for is each of these lists have some properties that are more likely to be a motivated seller than other lists. And by sort of combining them all, and what's that graph where there's circles that intersect? There's a name for that.
Like a Venn diagram?
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Venn diagram? Where it's like you've
Yeah,
got this and you've got this and where they intersect.
Big circle, and then there's like a little middle in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. Thank you, Rob, for being a nerd.
You're
a Venn
okay.
diagram, right? The more lists that you add into this and the more intersection points are, the higher the likelihood starts to become that you're going to get the motivated seller, which is the deal. It's very similar when you're looking at a property itself, where I'm looking at, okay, I'm probably not going to get a house for 50% of what it's worth, but can I find a house that has several elements that all come together in the same property that are all base hits? So is there a way I can add value? And then can I get it for less than market value? And then can I get some perk from the seller that's going to make this deal better? Is this in an area that's going to appreciate more than other areas? Is this in a tax advantaged strategy that's going to save me money somewhere else? And if you put 6 of these things together in the same deal, what looked like a boring deal that was in plain sight to everybody is actually very, very exciting because they didn't see all the different elements of it. It almost sounds like you've created software that's doing the same thing with finding motivated people. Any of those properties on a list on its own doesn't necessarily jump out, but when you combine it all together, you start to get a very attractive asset to pursue.
Absolutely. And that can vary depending on your investment strategy. And at one point, there was a time that I was doing, wholesaling in suburban areas, and then I was doing infill new construction in the city, where I was doing multifamily condo conversions and whatnot. So in the suburbs, it would be looking at, absentee, they have tax delinquents, but in the city, it would be a house or a property that was 1 or 2 units, but was on a lot of, over 5,000 square feet. And if it was, that means that I can convert that, as well as it was on a specific zoning, but I can convert that to a 3 or a 4 unit. Now, they're completely different strategies, but really understanding kind of where the threshold and what you can actually do with the property that's on different lists was the key to everything.
Oh, I actually had a quick question on your list. You find the prospects, and then when you reach out to them, you're saying that that's your first set of people, like that's your first someone on your team that could do that. Is that then done through another platform? Or is it still like, can the outreach actually happen from Envelo?
Yeah, the outreach can still happen through Envelo. So we have direct mail, we have Ringlet's voicemail, we have email that is offered within the platform. And then if you are using a system outside, we do offer integrations and exporting from the system into other databases. But the important thing is you're still capturing the cost to do that marketing outside of the system. So again, we can still funnel back the KPIs and record that information in our system so you know which marketing activity is actually performing the best.
Okay, that's very cool. So you're saying the integrations, like if there are other tools that are part of your ecosystem, they can possibly be, I guess, connected or integrated,
Correct.
like you said.
Yes.
So that you don't have to actually walk away from a current ecosystem that you've worked to, because that's always a hard thing for me. Like I do different tech stacks and everything like that, and so whenever a new software that seems cool comes about, and I'm always like, oh, can it actually connect with everything? And when it does, I'm like, oh, it's a pretty easy sell for me whenever I do that, because I'm like, all right, I get to keep everything in my dashboard and then connect all the tools and make my life a little bit easier.
Yep, absolutely, and that's a big thing. We're working on the Zapier connection as well as direct connections to many different platforms that investors use, and that's really critical for us. Like you mentioned, is for it to be a very simple integration, so people can access different platforms that they use for maybe different segments of their system. So it's really all contained within Envelo, but then it can talk to all those other platforms.
See that? Okay, that's cool. I'm in now because I was in before, but let me just say I am a big fan of like Zapier because I'm an automation nerd. Like I am trying to automate so many aspects of my business and of my life, and Zapier is what I use to literally like it automates with my Slack channel, with like all my CRMs, with my emails, with my payment channels. Like it really does help connect the ecosystem. So that's cool. All right. So it is a way of even adding to automation if that's what you want in your business.
Yes.
Which you should.
Yes.
If you want to scale up, automation is king.
Yeah, automation is critical. Automation is critical, and we really try to leverage that within the platform. So, the complexities that I was mentioning before, right? If you're marketing to a bunch of records or sellers, like if one of them sells their home, you don't want to continue to market to them, and neither should the investor really have to go back and scrub all of their records to see who sold their house. The system can just do it for them. Our database, our properties database that Envelo holds, is updated every single day. So if a house sells, we immediately get notified, and then we move their record out of the marketing for the user. So really, you don't have to think about that stuff.
So you've been in the game for a long time, Justin. In your opinion, what's the right avatar of investor, the person who's listening to this? How does someone know if this strategy is the right strategy for them?
Yeah. So as far as strategy, I mean, this system can be utilized for anybody that's going direct to seller, right? That is marketing off market, or even people that are working with other wholesalers or real estate agents, and they want to manage all of their leads and records into one database. Could be used for either one, but the real value comes on the direct to seller marketing. And we really look at people that are doing single family to small to mid multifamily. That's kind of the investment focus that this system was built out for. And anybody that's either a newbie to an advanced investor. The newbie investor, we have a lot of that education to help train them or educate them on best practices. And the functionality and features that we have in the system will work not only for beginners, but also advanced investors. So when they really get deep down to understanding, hey, I want to be able to, skip trace my records or find other people because this person hasn't called me back, and I want to find who else owns the property or is associated with the property, they can even do that in the system as well.
Now, what about geographic locations? Is it going to work the same in Manhattan, New York, or San Diego, California, as it's going to work in Columbus, Ohio? Or do you find that certain price points in certain areas have more success than others?
No, I would say this system will work. Again, this system is for management of records. So we have access to all properties throughout the whole United States. I believe it's over 155 million records that we have access to, and we have data points on all of those properties. So anyone who's doing it in Manhattan or somebody else who's in Ohio, the system will work for them, whether or not the data. Now with data, there's always going to be, as you get to the larger commercial size properties, the data is a little bit more challenging when they're going and standardizing all that data. So that's why I look at our system as really single family to mid to level multifamily owners or investors.
Yeah, I'm wondering about the use cases for this, because we talked about the size of the homes that really thrive within the platform, but the actual type of investor as well. Outside of the experience level, are you seeing like a correlation between wholesaling or flippers, or are there even opportunities for people in other more niche areas like short-term rentals, for example? Is this something that can work for basically every type of asset class?
Yes, absolutely. So it's a lot on the acquisition side. So when I look at what people are doing or what the investment focus is or strategy is, whether it's wholesaling, rehabbing, short-term rentals, I look at that more of what you're going to do with the property afterwards. So in order to acquire the properties, you still need a system and you need a proper process in order to go through to acquire those properties. What you do with it on the back end, that can be anything that you want, but you can still manage everything within the system.
Okay, that makes total sense. Yeah, I think I really am so curious about getting into this world because I do typically get stuff off the MLS, and so I'm often paying market prices. I mean, obviously, of course, it's possible to get below market prices too, but I've been really giving a lot of thought to basically my acquisition strategy, and if there is a way to get in the door for less than market, especially right now, so that's really cool. So it's effectively it's kind of pick your poison afterwards, right? Like you find the house, you acquire it, and then however you actually want to use it, that just depends on your individual investment strategy.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to go through the demo with you guys because that's going to help clarify, because there's so many points and so many details that go along this process that sometimes it seems like it's overcomplicating things, or it's really confusing. But the way that we designed the platform, it's extremely intuitive, and the step-by-step process is actually much easier than you think. The system does a lot of the complicated pieces in the back end, so the user doesn't even have to think about it, like those automations that I mentioned before.
Very cool. Well, if you're cool with it, I'd love to actually jump in and check it out.
Absolutely.
All right, so we've learned a bit about how Justin created Envelo and the whole process of that. I'm super excited to be to have a demo of the entire thing and how it works. Again, if you don't know me, I'm Anson Young. I wrote Finding and Funding Great Deals Out Through Bigger Pockets. I'm a rehabber, a wholesaler, a Burr investor, and technology, CRM, list building, skip tracing, marketing. All of these things are so integral to my business and how I can be successful and how I've been successful, that I'm very excited to learn how all these kind of snap in together and hopefully make my life easier. So I think we can start there and get this demo rolling.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited to show you what we have going on with Envelo. So we're first going to start off with the dashboard, right? You jump into Envelo, and this is kind of your home screen of where you land. So you get some basic KPIs about what's happening in your database through the different aspects of prospects, leads, how many records are in your database. You get this nice product navigation over to the right for a little help desk, academy, and education. And then you can also see any tasks or marketing campaigns that you have currently going on. So again, just to step back, this platform is a true end-to-end solution. So you can build your lists, you can manage prospects, leads, and deals. You can market out of this platform. So it really can do everything. So you can house all the information in this one platform. So you're not going back and forth between multiple software platforms or databases. So this is the primary spot. And then I'm really just going to take us through kind of the natural progression of a sales journey, from building lists to managing prospects, leads, and deals, and also show you some marketing and some additional bells and whistles that we have with Envelo.
Nice. I like that you land just right on the screen and you can see all kinds of things. I like that.
Yeah, and the big thing to call out here that you don't really see if you just land in here is the sold records and the vacant records. So Envelo will automatically update this information every single day because our prospects database is updated daily. So any properties that sell or go vacant in your prospects database, we will actually identify those. And not only that, if you're marketing to those prospects and those houses sell, we'll actually push them off of your marketing campaign so you don't continue to market to them. And they'll actually land on a sub database called Removed Records, which I'll show you in a little bit.
Wow, that actually saves a ton of time because I've manually scrubbed those, and that's no fun.
Exactly. Everybody's always trying to find a solution to this, and we have it right in the platform.
Wow. Okay.
So let's start off over on the left-hand side. If we click on List Builder, now you can see kind of the screen of how to pull a list. So we make this very easy for people either starting out with real estate investing, and we also have the flexibility to get really advanced functionality and criteria. So just starting out on the easy side, you can see down here we have these Envelo presets. These are all presets that we have identified to be the very best list that you can pull from this system. And there might be some that you recognize and some called related party and some other ones that you might not recognize, but we actually have found through our own research that these lists perform exceptionally well. So really, to get started, all you have to do is click the button, and you can see on the left-hand side, we have all of this criteria. Now you can go into this criteria and you can just remove anything that doesn't meet what you're looking for. And then the only other thing that you really have to do is you can add a geography. Now you can do this based on city, state, county, or zip code. I'm just going to click on a city here. And then if you do want to get a little bit more advanced, we can go into the properties, MLS, and owner info to really scale down and look at other filters like vacancy or owner type. Under property, you can see we have tons of different filters that you can really utilize.
Wow. So if you're like just starting out and you just need one of these like 7 or 6 quick starts, you can just click on one of those, then put in your geography, your zip code or whatever, and it'll just basically kind of get you a good place to start.
Yeah, exactly. Because the two biggest things that new investors and even some experienced investors have is they don't know how to pull a list properly, and they struggle with creating a really good marketing strategy. So in the system, we really set everyone up for success by creating these presets. So you really don't have to think about what to pull, and we just automatically have them here. So it's basically a one click away.
Yeah, it's great.
The only last thing that I want to show is the auto add. So this is a really unique feature to Envelo where you only have to pull a list one time, and Envelo will automatically add new properties that meet this criteria to your database anytime a new property meets this criteria. So again, because our database updates daily, your absentee list that you're pulling here will always be up to date.
Wow.
And
Okay.
you don't have to do anything else but enable, name it as a preset, save it, and import the records. And in the future, your database will always be up to date.
So you're not just scrubbing these lists, you're automatically adding new prospects to your database. So if a new absentee owner pops up, you don't have to go search for it and then add it to your marketing list or something.
That's correct.
This just automatically adds it in.
That's great. Yes. Yes.
What in the,
So,
what in the world?
you know, as you know, like pulling lists and refreshing lists and making sure that you're not duplicating those records that are already in your database, you know, a lot of people struggle with that, and this solves that issue.
Yeah, that is so much work saved. And then automatically just adding it means that you can just market, you market to that same audience, so to speak, and you know that it's the most up to date. Your solds are knocked off of there, and then you have new ones added to it. That's pretty crazy. Because a lot of times you might have like a driving for dollars list or something that you want to add into your marketing, and this is just telling Envelo like, hey, this is my list. You're tagging it differently from maybe the Envelo list, and then now you can differentiate, you can sort it, you can organize it.
Exactly. And the cool thing is Envelo uses its properties database. So if you only import the property address, we're actually going to fill in all the details relating to that property. So here's an
Whoa.
example of what you can see just by using a property address when you import. We're going to tell you all of the different building details, property characteristics, land info, estimated value, tax info, last sale date. And if it is on the MLS, we'll actually show you listing price, listing date. In addition to that, we'll also show you the contact that's associated with this property. And with Envelo, you can even skip trace. So we can skip trace not only this person here, but we can actually skip trace additional people who may own this property. So you can see I just skip traced, and it just added a number of records. And at the top is going to be the best match that we found.
So it's got a star next to it, so you know.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
So as you start to market to this person, and let's say that you send a direct mail piece to this address here, but it kicks back. So we'll even show you that it is deliverable. But let's say that it gets kicked back, you can click on Don't Mail, and you can change the primary mailing address to the next one.
Oh,
Okay, so
okay.
there's always opportunities to continue to market and use different details within the record. Again, the phone numbers will provide you with the phone numbers if they're on the DNC or do not call lists. We'll give you email addresses if we have them on the person. And we'll also identify if they are a litigator. So a potential person that can potentially sue you for soliciting to them, which is really, really important.
That's very important. So it automatically tells you basically, hey, this is DNC, do not call list. This is a litigator list. It also tells you if it's deliverable or undeliverable based on like the USPS records or however you guys do it, right?
That's correct. Yep.
Wow.
So again, the litigator list is really identifying which people are either attorneys or have litigated against other people who have solicited to them in the past. So this tells you, like, do not market to them because they could potentially sue you if you cold call or send them a text message. So that's really important information because it can save you thousands or tens of thousands of dollars, so you don't market to those people.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Moving on to leads. So once you have a prospect that you're marketing to, raise their hand and say, hey, I'm interested in selling. Right? Now you convert them to a lead. And the leads pipeline you can see is set up a little bit differently, although you can always get back to your list view. But the
This is like a card view, right?
Yes, exactly. Card view, Kanban style view. So you can actually move your records along the natural pipeline or path. We always have the ability to change the column headers, move them around, add new ones.
Oh, so it's not set. You can customize it.
Absolutely. Yes.
That
you can customize it.
that's huge. Wow.
So let me take you into one of these records, but before I do, so you can see the organization of all these records. On the top right-hand side, I could actually change this so I can say, show me all the people that have the highest motivation to the lowest motivation. So these are the ones that I really want to focus on. Or I can say, let me see all of the people that have the oldest activity, I haven't touched them, in the longest amount of time. So now your acquisitions team or even yourself can really start from top down and make sure that you follow up with the records that you haven't communicated with in the longest time.
Yeah, that makes sense. You got to prioritize that.
Absolutely. So prospects, think of it as you're blasting your marketing out to all of your prospects, or at least the highest quality prospects. And leads are more like a follow-up.
Okay. Yeah. So that was like the list that you pulled through Envelo, and then the list that you uploaded for Driving for Dollars or wherever you're getting your lists. Those are your prospects that you're kind of blasting out a bunch of marketing to. And then your leads are the ones that they've already raised their hand and said, I might potentially be interested in selling. And then you're just following up with them, or you're touching them in a different, with a different piece or something, right?
That's right. That's right. Yes. Yes. So when I click on Add Campaign here, again, you'll see that we have a number of presets for both prospects as well as leads. And again, we've created these based on a lot of testing and functionality through my investment business and many other investors around the country. So we know that these marketing campaigns are the best of the best. We know they work. We understand the strategy behind them. So for a lot of investors that are coming into the platform that might not have done marketing before, they can really just click one of these and move forward. And we actually take them through the steps of how to create this campaign.
So it's all in one.
Exactly. And again, if I just go back out, so you have the ability to send direct mail, ringless voicemail, email, and you can also create custom sequences within a marketing campaign. So you can actually take the list that's in your marketing campaign of those records and upload them to a cold calling platform or a ringless voice or text messaging platform. So there's many various ways that you can do that. But again, all of the data, all of the information is stored within Envelo, so we can provide you with those KPIs.
Yeah, which is huge, because even if you're not using something that you don't provide in here, like texting, you can still track those KPIs inside of here, which is huge. It used to be a huge pain in the butt to try to do this with any other CRM that I've used, anyways.
Right. And with our Zapier connection that we're adding into the system, you'll be able to actually send those zaps to the third-party platform, so it's a lot more seamless and automated.
Yeah, wow.
A couple other automations that I just wanted to show is that you can actually create a continuous campaign. So what this does is it allows you to add new records into the campaign that meet this filter. So let's go all the way back to the list builder example that we talked about auto add.
Right.
Let's say that you created that list of absentee owners and you clicked on the auto add feature. Any new record that meets that list criteria is automatically going to get added into your prospects database. And now if you selected this campaign to be continuous and that record that now moves into your prospects database meets the criteria for this campaign, it will automatically get pushed into this marketing campaign from the first sequence to the bottom. It won't get injected into the marketing campaign where all the other records are, whether they're on the second, third, or fourth sequence. It'll always start from the top down.
Oh, wow. Okay. So from the very top, you're automatically adding things to your marketing list and you're automatically scrubbing them, which is awesome, which then go into your prospects. But now you're continuously updating your marketing if it meets those same criteria, and then starting them the right way inside of the sequence. So if something becomes vacant, 2 months into the sequence, it'll automatically just put them to the top and send them the first thing instead of the third thing.
That's correct.
Is that
yes?
does that make sense?
Yes.
Wow. So yeah, that makes sense. That's like all the way down, making it super easy for you, because this used to be crazy to try to do multi-touch campaign.
Yes.
And then you had like a bunch of new leads that come in, or a bunch of new prospects that you're pulling in, and then you're trying to start them from the top while you're
Right.
trying to keep these at the third one. Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is a huge issue for a lot of people that are doing driving for dollars and getting a couple hundred a week, or they have tax liens that they pull every month. And they're like, all right, well, I have a new list and I want to put it through this campaign, but how do I create another campaign with just a couple hundred, or do I put them into the existing campaign and inject them into wherever they are in that campaign in the sequence? So it was always a struggle for investors on how to figure that out, and make sure that they were moving it along the same flow as any other record that would be in this campaign.
Yeah, that's a huge headache. I mean, especially on that driving for dollars example. Now all you have to have is just the address.
Mhm.
You push it into Envelo, it automatically fills in the mailing address info and any of the other information that you would go manually look up. But now, all the way down to marketing, the new ones that you're adding are in the correct sequence and they're automatically just being pushed into your marketing funnel.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, that's crazy.
Again, there's a lot of functionality that goes behind the marketing, but we try to make it and automate it so it's very easy. So the things that most investors have to really think about, and the inconvenience or inefficiencies of thinking about, did I remove the solds? Which campaign do I add these people to? We really try to take that away from the investors, because we know you're busy doing other stuff. You shouldn't have to be thinking about this. We really automate the whole process for you.
Yeah, my brain's already turning because I can see a bunch of ways that a bunch of time is saved through this system, and then also where you can scale a little bit quicker and not have to maybe even hire somebody to watch your marketing like a hawk, because if you set this up, you can get pretty far with just automation and having it scrub your list and then having it automatically send out mail based on follow-up or based on added prospects. You can actually save a bunch of time and money by just having this already set up in here.
Yes. Yeah, there's countless times where I hear investors talking about hiring virtual assistants just to scrub the sold properties off of their database. And this just does it automatically for you. That's just one little area
I've been there.
of where the automation can take over and really help out and save a lot of time.
Yeah, I think anybody who's done any kind of amount of marketing has been there, where they're trying to hire this out or trying to beat up an Excel spreadsheet to do it for you, but none of us know how to program those things.
Mm-hmm. So. Right. The only one last area that I just want to show you is our education portal, because this is something that we are truly passionate about and really try to provide additional value to our users, because The goal for us is to provide best practices and help them through the platform through education. So we're not just giving everybody a software and say, hey, good luck. We really want to provide them with the education and understanding of how the logical steps should be to go through and be as successful as they possibly can. So within the academy, we have Envelo training that really goes through every aspect of starting out to mindset to how to find properties, how to talk to sellers, how to put deals together. So we go through all of these. We have all these videos. In addition to that, we have industry experts teaching all master classes. So we have new master classes coming in the pipeline every single month from people within the real estate investment industry and even outside. So we know that, entrepreneurship, it's more than just focused on real estate investing. It takes over your whole life. So we really focus on, and we have fitness experts, health experts, psychologists coming in, people talking about how to manage, being a great parent and a spouse while trying to start a business or run a business. So we understand that people have all those challenges, and we really try to advocate and show people that, these are how people get through it. These are how really successful people that have built amazing businesses have done it. And, you're not the only one. Other people have these challenges, and you're within the community that people really value this.
Yeah, I see a ton of names, big names here. So I think that's what a lot of companies are missing, is kind of this holistic approach to not only like teaching the platform, which is a no-brainer, like this is how you use Envelo, but now you're talking about how to talk to sellers, and then how to keep talent, how women investing, the different roadblocks. Mm-hmm. Like it is this whole thing that just going through these master classes alone is totally worth it. That's crazy.
Yeah, and you nailed it. Holistically, our approach is a holistic approach. We're not just really honing in on just real estate investing. There's so many other aspects to entrepreneurship. So we really want to provide that value. And that's the approach that we take, is how do we get all the users successful? And that's really where we hone in on for our Envelo training, is this is how to become a successful investor, and here's how Envelo can help you get there faster. So we always try to provide that value first and foremost, and then how the platform can help you get there.
That's huge. Not a lot of companies think about that whole investor, because it's not just sending out mail. It's, all those other things. Mm-hmm. Like you're also a parent, and you need to go work out or do whatever you need to do. And then if the investor is successful, of course, you as a company is going to be successful because you've helped them get there, and they're going to remember that, of course.
So that's everything. That's the demo that I wanted to take you through. Hopefully you enjoyed that and you got a lot from it.
Yeah, absolutely. This is this is crazy. So just from A to Z, just the little bit that you showed me, and I'll be going back through the Envelo training too to learn how to do some of these other things. But I'm super excited because this solves a lot of problems that I didn't even know I had, and now I know that they can be solved. So, all right, Justin, thanks for that demo. That was hugely helpful. Where can people go to find out more about you and contact you?
Yeah, the best area is to go to our website, enveloapp.com, and it's INVELOAPP.com. That is the best place that they can go to learn more about Envelo.
Nice.
How about you, Anson? How can people get a hold of you?
You can find me on Bigger Pockets, Anson Young there, or on Instagram at Young Anson, or on YouTube, or wherever else you can find my name. So I'm out there somewhere.
Awesome.
All right. So back to you guys over there, and we'll wrap up here.
Okay. Well, that's a really cool tool, man. I feel like I'm ready to go out and get really just discounted off-market deals. That's like legitimately my new mission for 2022. So this comes at a pretty good time.
I'll tell you what, Bigger Pockets is we're getting better and better at finding the tools that somebody needs to achieve what they want. I remember a couple years ago, only a couple years ago, we were having these conversations with people saying, how are you doing this? And they were just grinding their way. They were calling the city and requesting a list of like people that were in violation of not paying their taxes or had unpaid utility bills or something. And they were physically calling those people. And then we had a robo dialer for the first time ever that could automatically dial and it would save you time. And that was amazing technology. And now we're putting together a list that you have the highest likelihood of hitting a motivated seller, and the software's doing all of it for you. It's almost unfair how easy this is becoming compared to how people had to do this 5 or 10 years ago.
That's right. Yeah, technology makes things a lot easier. And a really cool thing, probably the coolest thing about Envelo, is that it is now included in the all-new BiggerPockets Pro membership. So if you sign up for BiggerPockets Pro, they just supercharged it with all these insane benefits, and you'll get free access plus $50 in marketing credits to Envelo, which is awesome.
When it comes to real estate, I live my life 1/4 mile at a time, and BiggerPockets is my 10-second car. That's exactly right. I think like people thought if you're not being teased by what everything Envelo can do. You can get access to this if you become a BiggerPockets Pro member, as well as several other cool things. They have a new a rehab estimator tool that's simply fantastic. That's one of the number one questions that we get asked is, how do I calculate the cost of a rehab? There's now a calculator that can do that for you. So you can go find the deal. You can put the deal under contract. You can close on the deal. You can estimate it. You can get all the numbers that you need for what the rehab's going to cost, what the rent's going to be, all within the BiggerPockets ecosystem.
But wait, David. But wait, there is more. I know you were like, are we done? I'm like, no, there is more, my friend. You also get RentReady's property management software with the all-new BiggerPockets Pro, which is awesome too. So you're getting a ton of value. And if you use promo code NEWPRO, you'll actually get 20% off your first year of the Pro annual membership, which again, supercharged here. And it's now your one-stop shop to start, scale, and manage your whole real estate portfolio, which is, that's a dream come true for all of us just getting our start here, man.
It's a dream come true if you want a better life. That's absolutely true. If you want the same life you have, if you want a boring life, if you want to be grinding away at a job you probably don't love until you're too old and bent over and aged to enjoy life, well, hey, keep doing what you're doing. But if you want a better life and if you want to have a haircut like Rob's, this is how I'd recommend you get there.
That's right. So again, if you use promo code NEWPRO, NEWPRO, you'll get 20% off your first year of a Pro annual membership. Other than that, Dave, where can people find out more about you online?
Well, they can use that promo code at biggerpockets.com/pro upgrade, and you can get all the information there. And then, like Rob said, use the code NEWPRO. And then once you do that, go online and tell me that you signed up for Pro. You can find me on social media at DavidGreen24, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. And you can find me on YouTube at David Green Real Estate. This is David Green for Rob Headshots Abasolo, signing off.